In the Huddle was created to give student athletes, parents and coaches an inside look at the journey through US college sport and all that comes with it. The demands, the experiences, the excitement and the opportunities available to our student athletes from around the world. Study and Play USA facilitates a comprehensive, customised approach for student athletes and families for their whole journey, from their high school preparation years right through to US college graduation.
Hi everyone, and welcome to today's episode of In the Huddle. Thanks for joining us. We today have recent college graduate Philippa Piper, who's just graduated from Salem University in West Virginia. Now, Salem's a D2 college where Philippa played water polo. So I'm really excited to hear about Philippa's 4-year journey and, what her plans are, all of those things. So thanks for joining us, Philippa.
Yeah, no problem. I'm excited to be here.
Excellent. And, thanks for staying up a bit later to chat. I know the time difference and all of that. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem. I'm just happy to be chatting with you guys again. It seems like it's been a long time.
I know. We live through Instagram, right? I was just saying that to you before. It's just like I see it. I live through our student athletes on Instagram. So then I feel like I'm commenting on stuff like that. And it feels like, you're chatting, but then you do this and you realize you're not.
Yeah, well, that's just like how everyone keeps up with each other. I feel like I look at the Instagram, just like see who else is like going through the same way that I went through as well. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And that and I joke with some of our student athletes when they start this process about why Study and Play follows them on Instagram, because they say right now you'll reply to my email, but once you get to America, it's like emails go out the window and everything's instant chat or instant messenger, and it's really just the best way for us to keep in touch. So that still seems to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always excited to get a message or whatever, but it's to just keep in contact, even if it is through Instagram.
Absolutely. So, I can't believe that your 4 years is done. I feel like it was just yesterday. I remember you sitting in our office and we were talking about, where you were going to accept and where you were going and getting you ready for that. Has it gone as quick as I feel it's gone?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think COVID made it go a lot quicker than I thought it was going to go, because like we came like midway through our season in my sophomore year. So like I had a longer period at home, and then I've done basically 2.5 years since COVID started in the States. So I feel like it's gone way quicker than it should have.
Yeah.
Like insanely way quicker than it should have.
How do you feel about it, like the college part being over? Like I know we talked you going, and we'll talk about you going on to do your masters, but like that 4-year chunk with that team that you had, how does it feel?
It feels good, but it also feels really, really bad, because it's like a big part of my life is just going to like completely change. Like the main girls that I spent the last 4 years with, like almost 24/7, half of them are going, some of them are staying, some of them are like half leaving, half staying. It's going to be a big change, and I feel like it's super exciting that I've got a degree now and I've gone through the 4 years and I've done that, but it's also kind of scary because like big change now.
Yeah. So if we go back, Pip, to grade 12 Pip, right? Where you're playing water polo here in Australia. Tell me, when you think back to that, what interested you? Like, what made you choose this pathway?
I think I wanted to be better at water polo was a big thing. I wanted like a different experience with water polo. A lot of the girls that I know that went just straight through Australian water polo either came to a halt very quickly after high school, or, did their thing for a little while and then decided that it wasn't for them. I really wanted a longer experience than just like the 6 months after school. I feel like I struggled a bit more with making teams, I guess, and I wanted a reason to continue to play, and that's like a big thing with having a team around you for 4 years. I think that was part of it for me. I was like, I want girls like I didn't want girls like high school girls. I wanted the team environment that I had all through high school with water polo. And I felt like this was the best way to go about that.
Yeah, right. And tell us about the difference between, the caliber, I suppose, of the water polo you played, at the level you were playing, in Queensland, to, what you experienced in the US. What was the transition like? Was it different? I do remember speaking to you, after that first year, when you came back, either for, I think it might have been for your summer break after that first year, and you were just saying the sheer volume of training that you were doing was just completely different. Is that right?
Yeah, like going from just being a high school sport here. So in high school here, we just play like at home. I mean, in Australia, we play so many different sports. Like I remember I played touch football, I played netball, I swam a little bit, and then I stopped swimming because I wanted to play water polo. Like there was a lot of things I had going on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like American kids growing up in an American high school system had a completely different lifestyle to us. They have their summer sports, they have their winter sports, a bit more like the boys.
Yeah.
I think in Queensland, well, where I was anyway. But it's everyday training, which I had never done one sport every day for like months and months on end.
Yeah.
That was just an insane jump for me. Like it was crazy the amount of training we were doing to me, but your body gets used to it really, really quickly, which I was pretty surprised about.
Yeah.
And the continuous training really just made you fitter very, very quickly, and then you could maintain it way easier than just like what I was doing in high school, which was 2 days a week maybe, and then a couple of games on the weekend.
Yeah. And that
So it was
yeah, right. And so that leads me to think, right? And I'm asking, I know the answer, but I want you to share it from your experience. Is I hear that and I think, well, how could you train every day, but then also get a degree, right? So you're essentially a full-time athlete. You're definitely still a full-time student because you get a bachelor's degree at the end of your 4 years. How does that work?
So like we talked about when I was going through all the recruiting stuff, we talked about Salem for a long time. It's a very small town, very small school, but our school worked a lot different to other schools. So we had one class a month, which sounds really confusing, but it's still 5 classes a semester, because 1 month in a semester you double up on a class, which made my schooling life way, way easier, because all I was thinking about was 1 class each month. We, until COVID hit, had 1 class a month, and every Monday through Thursday you'd go to class for 2 to 3 hours in the morning, and then we could have training at 12:30 during the middle of the day, or we could have training before that, or we could have training in the afternoon. We never really had to have late trainings. We never really had to have really, really early trainings. So our school was really, really, really built around the athletes that lived there, because we basically only had athletes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then COVID hit, and then basically everything became online, so that also made it easy. But we were still doing 1 class a month, so it was still super, super easy for, especially coming from a high school which was really academically driven.
Yeah, different. So did you? How did you find the transition with the academics, going from high school here in Australia to first year college? What were there some key differences? Did you feel prepared? What did you think?
I think I was pretty prepared for it. I think that I tried hard in high school to get good grades and stuff, but high school was hard. Like you're put through a lot of difficult things in Australia, I feel like. Difficult testing, difficult, all that kind of stuff. But here I found with my classes, especially, it was a lot of papers, not many tests, which really suited me. And our professors are super helpful. Like you ask them for anything and they're willing to help you. If you're having a little bit of trouble towards the end of the class and you need help with like getting a grade up, they're super helpful with that as well. I feel like there's a lot more lenience here than there is possibly back home. And I found that very helpful. I did pretty well through my 4 years because I constantly was asking for help if I needed it.
Yeah.
And it's super easy to get through everything because of the structure of our school. I think other people would have had a different experience with that, but our structure was built really, really for athletes more than anything.
Great. And so I mentioned in the intro that Salem is an NCAA Division 2 university. So for those who don't know, every division in America, they allocate scholarship differently. That's really the key difference between the different divisions. So for D2, it's partial athletic and partial academic. And I do remember you telling me that coach said to you at one point, if you can get this level GPA, then I can give you X amount more scholarship. So were you able to do that? And did your scholarship change as you went through?
So yes and no. Our school, the year or two before I went there, had cut academic money besides one scholarship that you could get, which was if you had a 4.0.
Yeah,
and
right.
It went by semester, and they gave you X amount of dollars each semester if you had a 4.0. A lot of kids in my school had a 4.0, surprisingly, because of it, because it helped with however much money, but a lot of people just worked hard and got it done. And it didn't roll over every semester. Like, you had to keep your 4.0 each semester.
Yeah.
And I had that the whole way through. Wow. So I had that the whole way through, and then I had athletic money, which I believe increased each year. I don't know exactly by how many or whatever, but it was good, and it made it very affordable. I know that if our school had have offered more academic money or anything like that, I would have worked to get that as well. Just make it as cheap as possible.
Yeah.
But I know other schools still have that. We just didn't have that available to us, which was a bit unfortunate. But also, our school is reasonably priced for a Division 2, for a small Division 2. So it was never too bad for me.
Excellent. So would you say that they're pretty, from your experience, pretty upfront about, okay, these are the markers that you need to meet to equal this, so you always knew if you wanted to maximize whatever funding, wherever it came from, you knew what you had to do?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think my coach was pretty clear with me with what he was available to give me. He was pretty upfront with how it would go the following years. I know we could have discussions with him if we needed something, but usually you're pretty set with what you started with. Like, nothing changed too much as you went through. So right. It was pretty clear from the beginning.
Yeah, great. And so what was your surroundings like, I suppose? Where did you live? Who did you live with? What did a day look like? What was the support like, academically? Tell us a little bit about that so that, our listeners can paint a bit of a picture of, what a college life looks like.
So West Virginia, Salem, West Virginia.
Yeah.
So I'm still in the States right now working over the summer, and I talk to a lot of Americans, and I say, I go to college here, and they go, oh, where do you go to school? And I go to a small school in West Virginia, and they go, oh, West Virginia. And they're like, oh, West Virginia University? And I'm like, no. I go about 40 minutes south of there, so you're in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia, basically.
Yeah.
It's hilly, it's gorgeous. Like, it's such a beautiful place. There's big gorges and stuff that we go to lookouts over. It's great for hikes. It's good for whitewater rafting, camping. But I'm there during the winter, so a lot of that stuff is cold and freezing to do.
Right.
So you can go to lookouts and stuff. It's pretty cool. Not far, like 45-minute drive most of the time, which sounds like a lot to Australians, I guess. I tell my parents sometimes, I'm like, oh, we drove this far to go here. And they're like, why would you drive that far? Why can't you just do that around the corner?
Yeah.
It's like, because that's how that works.
Yeah, that's how it is here.
But our school, there's a few buildings that are pretty run down, so we don't have a lot of housing. And anyone who lives off campus lives about 20 minutes away, and I didn't have a car. So I was thinking about it for next year, but I think I'm going to stay in the residence halls that we have.
Yeah.
I've lived all 4 years in the residence halls. Ours are pretty small and a bit different to a lot of other residence halls, just because we don't have like communal kitchens or like separate bathrooms. It's not suite living. It's just straight up a dorm room, 2 beds, 2 dressers, 2 desks, 2 closets. I enjoyed it. I liked being around all the people all the time. My freshman year, I made a lot of friends because all of our floors were mixed up with different sports, and because basically our whole school is sports, everyone just knows each other, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But when COVID hit, it changed that a bit. I feel like everything just comes back to COVID at this point. But when COVID hit, it got a bit different, and we got split up by sports, basically. So aquatics on one floor, track and field and basketball were on another. And our halls, we have 2 of them, and one of them is females, one of them is males.
Right.
And I became an RA my junior year when the sports split happened. But I wasn't on the floor with my team. I was on the floor with a different team. So I got to know a few people that way.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. You always are meeting new people depending on like what you put yourself into. That was cool about housing, is like originally we were all split up, and it was just, you got to know who you got to know, kind of thing. But last year it was split up again, which was cool. I was an RA again last year, so I had a freshman floor, which was a bit crazy sometimes, but they all grow up a little bit by the end of the year, which is nice.
Yeah, right.
But I remember being a freshman, crazy times.
But I was just going to say, for those who don't know, an RA is, when you're responsible for the floor, you get paid for it, right? So you're just there as their support.
So I got like half my room and board.
Yes, for it. Yeah.
And then I got a bit of a stipend. Some schools do it a bit differently. So like resident assistant is just like, if someone has a question or needs something fixed, they come to you. We did like rounds where we just walked through each night, and someone would be like on duty. So if someone needed to call, they'd just call us, which was a good experience. It gets harder as you get older and the people coming in get younger. But it's awesome to see, like, you're like, oh, I was them once, so I can't be that mad. Stuff like that. But it's cool. And our residence halls are separate from the school. Like, they're down the street kind of, but they're a little bit away, so it's a bit separated from like classrooms and sports facilities and stuff. We can walk everywhere because it's just up the street, but it is separate from up there, which is kind of nice.
Nice. So tell me about your team. I feel like, throughout your 4 years, I was constantly seeing, championships here, you getting, picked as, in, an all-state team. I know your coach got, coach of the year this year. So tell me about that. Tell me about the water polo experience, the travel, the competition, all of it.
So my team's pretty cool, I think. It's a little bit of a different experience from everyone else. Again, not just because my school does schooling different, but also because our water polo team was a first-year program when I got there. We were like a new phase of this team, because they had water polo originally, and then it had gotten cut, I think in 2004. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's when the last team was. And so we came in, and I don't remember being told this. Our coach told us that he told us this, but that we didn't know if we were going to have a full team. Right. So we had one girl, she was from Scotland. She ended up not coming. And then we had 3 Americans our freshman year.
Yeah.
And 7 non-Americans, I'm pretty sure. So we had 3 Americans, we had 3 Australian girls, we had a girl from the Netherlands, a girl from Greece, a girl from Italy. What other countries am I missing? Australia, America, Italy, the Netherlands, Greece. I feel like I'm missing a country. I feel like there was 7. I don't know, but there was a lot of different countries.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone spoke different languages. Everyone came from different styles of water polo. Everyone did different things, had been different places. We had 2 girls who came from Hartwick, which was a program that had been cut the year before.
Mm-hmm.
And they were incredible. They were a D1 program at a D3 school. And they were a really, really good team. And these 2 girls came from there. And then the rest of us were freshly out of high school, coming to America. Like a lot of the girls for coming from Europe did the same thing that we did, which was go through an agency and try and find coaches through that, which was really cool. And each year we got a little bit bigger, but then got smaller again because people would leave. And so our sophomore year, we had the same number of girls, but a few different girls. And then we got to my junior year and we ended up having 16 girls. And that was the first year we made NCAAs. So we won our conference championship. It was the asterisk year with COVID because there was a few teams in our conference that didn't play. And then we went to NCAAs. And NCAAs was crazy because we got to go out to California with this little D2 team going to D1 nationals. And like, we're so excited. And we're there and we're at UCLA's pool and we're taking pictures and we're like, oh my gosh, there's an Olympian over there. Oh my gosh, like this is where this person practices and they get to play outdoors all the time and blah, blah, blah. So that was really cool. That was a great experience. And then last year we came back and we went again and we won our conference championship, which was the absolute most crazy game of water polo I've ever played in my life.
Yeah.
We played 4 quarters and then we went into overtime, which is 2 3-minute quarters. Yeah. And then we went into sudden death, which is supposed to be like maybe 1, but we ended up playing almost 2 full sudden death.
Whoa.
3-minute quarters. So we ended up playing basically 8 quarters of water polo and it took so long, but it was awesome because winning that was insane. Like, yeah, I don't think our coach thought we were going to win. But he might kill me for saying that, but I really think he had a bit of a doubt in him, and we were all out there to prove everyone wrong with that one, and that was awesome. And he definitely the last 2 years, because he got coach of the year back to back. Yeah, deserved it. Definitely, like he all round deserved like everything that he got, and I feel like he just works really, really hard for us and puts us in the best position to do really well. And I feel like we've helped him get to where he is, as well as him help us to get to where we are. Yeah. And we, like, our girls have done really well and gotten a lot of awards as well, which is awesome. From our freshman year, when we only had 8 people, which is just crazy because you think about the people we compete against. It's US Olympians and European Olympians and Australian Olympians, and it's just crazy to think that this little D2 in West Virginia can be competing against such high caliber athletes. It's crazy. Does it feel cool to have been part of that build? Oh yeah, it's awesome. And we struggled a bit with like the team chemistry, I guess, because none of us experienced having older girls. I feel like that was an issue we faced this year especially. But I think now our team like understands that we worked really, really hard from our first year all the way through. And it was a very different experience to what anyone else ever will have. Yeah. Which is like, it was a really monumental thing when we won and we got to go to NCAAs for the last time. We have girls who played their 5th year who are now moving on, and that's just a really good way to end their careers. And we got to do it with all the girls we started with, which was awesome. Yeah. So great, and you'll never forget that. Oh, never. That will stay with you forever, I would imagine. You'll be telling your grandchildren about that. Yeah, without little shiny rings. Yeah. Yeah, very cool. Did you do much travel to compete? Like, where did you travel to? Yeah, so basically the closest school to us in like water polo world is like an hour and a half from us. Yeah. but they're a D3. So we only really played them our freshman year. We don't play them a whole lot anymore. It's a shallow deep pool also, which is also another crazy thing to get over.
Right.
Is a lot of school, my school included, had shallow deep pools, so they play shallow deep water polo.
Whoa. Which you would never have played here, right? In Australia, when I say here.
Yeah, I would have never played that back home. I didn't really even comprehend that that's what we were going to be doing.
Yeah.
So you don't do that very often, and our coach tries to avoid it at all costs, because it just, for me, it's very not very beneficial, because I have to stand when we play shallow deep water polo.
Yes.
I'm the goalie, so it's just a very weird concept. But so put that in perspective, the closest school to us is an hour and a half away. They have a shallow deep pool. I think we played them once or twice my freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but travel a lot into Pennsylvania, which is north of us. 4 hours north are two of our competitive like conference teams that we play against. We drive up to them. That's on Lake Erie, which is the big lake between the US and Canada.
Right.
So we go up there a fair bit. It's so cold up there when we go up there, because we go
Can't
up there
even imagine.
the end of winter and it's still snowing.
Yeah.
We go into upstate New York. We played up there a couple of times, maybe once. We play in near Philadelphia. There's a couple of schools near Philadelphia that we play in. We've played in Ohio, which is the next state over from basically West Virginia. You just drive west. We've played in Michigan. So we played at the Big M, which is a big, like, it's an old pool, but it's awesome to play them, because they're an awesome team to play against, because they're very respectful team, which was awesome. Like, they respect that we're a small team and we're trying to take them down. We have never, but we wish we could.
Yeah.
And then we go into Illinois, which again is the next state over. We've driven to Florida, which is a 16-hour drive.
Wow.
We've flown to Arizona and played at ASU, which was another big one to play at for us. We were so excited about that one.
Huge, right?
Yeah, insane. They're so good. Then what have we done? We've flown out to California. We played NCAAs in California. We also played our last round of championships in California. That was also awesome. So we played championships at Fresno State, and then we played 2 years ago now NCAAs at UCLA, which I could only dream.
Yeah, I've visited UCLA, and that is some insane facilities.
Oh, and them having like hotels on campus, and we got to stay in like a really nice hotel. That's like another thing that's really cool, is you just get to stay a lot of places overnight, get to stay in nice hotels, and you're staying with your friends. So we traveled so much, but you know, we were always spending time with people, which was, I think, the biggest part about it.
Yeah, and those trips would be like team bonding. You're on a bus with someone for 16 hours, you know, that's got to bring a team, you know, do good things for a team, I would suspect.
Yeah, I definitely think that we started off in one van and we did one van everywhere, and it was great because it was just, you know, 8 or 9 of us in a van. Then we got a bit bigger and we were taking a van and a car, and then we got a bit bigger and we're taking 2 vans. And I think the 2 van thing was a bit difficult because we didn't know really how to split ourselves in the beginning. But once we got the hang of like how we were splitting ourselves and like where we were sitting, because that was contention on the team a bit. But once we got over all of that stuff, like being in a van for 8 hours or however long it is, it seems like a long time, and it is a long time. But so much about people from being that close to them for 4 years, basically.
Yeah, great. So tell me about I know that you got selected in some pretty cool teams, you know, you as a goalie. So tell us, you know, show off. Now's your time to show off. Tell us what you got picked in and what it means.
So I have been selected All-American all 4 years I played college.
Great. What does that mean for those at home?
All-American is like, it's like being selected on a team that doesn't play anything. It's just like they name It's anywhere between 2 to 3. Sometimes it's just 1 and honorable mentions
Mm-hmm.
in each division based on All American is heavily based on stats, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for Division 2, I believe. I was honorable mention my freshman year. I think I was second team my sophomore year, and I was first team my junior and senior year for All American. And then All Conference, I think I was honorable mention All Conference my freshman year, second team my sophomore year, and then for second team my junior year, and first team my senior year.
Yeah.
So, and then I also got a player of the tournament at my junior year conference championships, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot, but I also put that down to the fact that my coach basically did everything he could to make me the best goalie he possibly could, because I didn't have a backup most of the time.
Right.
I got through my freshman and sophomore years by myself, and then my junior and senior years I had some training buddies, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And they were awesome to train with. Like, it was great having other people in the pool. It made me a bit more competitive at training.
Mm.
But I did play like a lot through the whole time that I was there. I very rarely was getting any games off, if not even quarters off. I was getting like the last couple of minutes of a few quarters. That was it.
Far out.
Yeah.
So for everyone listening, you can't see us, you're only getting the audio, but Pip and I are doing this via Zoom and we can see each other. And while you were saying all that, Pip, I had a huge smile on my face because I was thinking about what you said earlier about, when you were here and you struggled making teams, back here in Australia, and you were rattling off all conference team, all American team. I know they don't go and compete anywhere, but being selected for that's a pretty amazing transition, in a few years.
Yeah, I'm like, that's the one thing that I'm like super proud of, because I feel like when I was at home, there was a lot of things I couldn't justify. Like, I was like, I know I can be good, but I need somewhere to prove it. And I feel like this was definitely my place to prove it. Like, I made a decision, I had to follow through. My mom was very hesitant on me moving to a different country.
Yeah.
My dad was really happy for me to be doing it, but he was like, you're going to a place where there's like 300 people, like, gotta figure this out. And I was like, no, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Like, it's something that I want to do. I'm gonna do it. And I think I've made it for at least my water polo very, very worthwhile.
Yeah.
With like all those water polo teams, you also have like academic teams as well that the water polo boards and stuff put you into as well, which was awesome, because a lot of my team also made academic teams the whole time through. So they might not have been making water polo like mentions, but they were definitely making academic teams. So I feel like that was also a great thing, is like you're getting recognition for both sides of it.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that about this system is the student athlete, both are celebrated, and you can see, and I actually think I saw it at Salem where they'd have a competition between the men's GPA and the women's GPA team, about who could have the best cumulative GPA at the end of the semester, at the end of the year, or whatever it is. So you're competing in the pool for what you guys can get too, but in the classroom. So I love that, because, both are equally as important in your life.
Yeah, and I feel like that was a big thing for our water polo teams, because our men's team had done really, really well cumulative GPA for the season, and they had been number one in the country, like above Ivy League schools, which are like the most prestigious academic schools you could go to. And so when we started, we were like, we're going to beat you guys. Like, we're going to do it every year. And we did it 2 years in a row. So that was pretty special as well, because we were like, we're going to do what the boys did. And I think we did it better.
And see, I think that is so healthy, because as athletes, you guys are natural born competitors. You have to
yeah.
be, otherwise you're not going to keep going as far as you're going in your sport. So then to bring a competition in on the academic side of things, well, naturally you're going to do exactly what your team did and fire up and say, okay, we got you. Like,
Yeah. And that was like a big thing. Like every year we got new freshmen, we were like, okay, so like you can
this is
bring
how
us,
it goes.
this is how we work. Like if you need help, you come speak to us and we will help you. But you know, you got to get on our wavelength because
I love
academics.
that. That's so great.
Yeah.
And going back, I love your Steely reserves that you had when you were going over there. You know, I do remember, because all of our student athletes go to all different colleges. You know, there's over 4,500 in America, in every state, every nook and cranny of America. And they're all going to be different divisions of competition, different size, different academic level, you know, all of that. And I know that when you had picked Salem and were going there, you know, are saying, okay, it's small, you know, where you're
Oh,
going, small town, right? Are you, you know, and you were just like, yep, yep, no, I got this, you know, like this is where I'm going, this is what I'm doing, and I'm going to make the best of it. And you know, our team talk about that often, is that what our student athletes are presented with is an opportunity, right? And then it's your opportunity, you know, and where that goes from that point is entirely in your hands. And
yeah.
We recently had, you know, our family catch-ups that we do in Brisbane, Sydney, you know, Melbourne, Perth, you know, when our student athletes are home on their summer breaks. And one girl from Melbourne, honestly, she kept saying thank you to us. She's going into her senior year. She's like, oh, I
Yeah.
just want to say thank you. I just want to say thank you, you know, to you guys for what you did, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I had to stop her and say, you're welcome. We played a role. 100% we played a role in you getting to America. But the experience you have had is you. So you can
Oh,
thank mum and dad. You can thank us, and that's fine. And everyone was in your corner and played a role. But you guys, the student athletes, are the ones that are taking this opportunity that you've worked towards with the help of others. And then that's how that lands and where that goes is with you.
yeah, 100%. And I think you see that through a lot of people because we have girls come from the other side of the country and then we have girls that come from the other side of the world. And I
Mm,
feel like they feel homesick from the other side of the country. Like
yeah.
we
Yeah.
feel homesick from the other side of the world. They can drive home or they can fly home easily. We have
Mm,
a big way to go home. And I feel like that was a big thing for me is like, I need to make it worthwhile because I've come so far.
mm-hmm.
I've done so much to be where I am. Like I've had a lot of help along the way, but you know,
Yeah.
what
But it's you.
happens to me while I'm here is totally 100% up to me.
Yeah.
I have to make it worth it.
Yeah. Agreed. Um, so I suppose to wrap up, Pip, I just have some. I like to go back and think of. I want to talk about. Okay, if you think about, you know, Pip in high school in Queensland, okay, going through the recruiting process, knowing what you know now, right, having that
Mhm.
hindsight.
Mhm.
For the prospective student athletes, you know, who are going through this process now or are thinking about it, is there anything that you would have done differently? And secondly, what advice do you have from them? For them, not from them.
I don't know. I
The big
think I don't
question.
know if there's much I would have done differently. Like I think I did what I needed to do at the time. I
Mm-hmm.
think I got interest from coaches that I deserved interest from. I
Mm-hmm.
think there could have been a lot more out there, but I don't know at the time that they were really heavily looking at me because I obviously didn't have a lot of credentials behind me at the
Mm-hmm.
time, I guess. So I think that my big decision, and I feel like this should be everyone's big decision, is you should get along well with the coach. Like I definitely spoke with a lot of coaches where I was like, I don't know, like
Mm.
maybe not. Like I like you, you're a nice human, but I don't know that I could be coached by you. And I feel like that was a big thing for me was my coach was very driven behind goalies. And so that sparked my interest straight away.
Yeah.
And he was a goalie and he coached goalies his whole water polo career. Like that was his specialty. And then my freshman year we had the men's GA. He was also a goalie, so he helped me a lot my freshman year. And I feel like those were the things that kind of just fell into place for me. And I feel like that would be a big focus for someone. Like, I know that there are a lot of people who couldn't go to my school because it's in such a small town. That's also another thing that I would look into. I remember when we first were talking about this, you were like, where do you want to live? Who do you want to be coached by? What size of school do you want to go to? Like, list them off and put them in order of what's your most important, and figure out how you're going to separate the schools based on that. And I feel like I did that reasonably well. I would choose a bigger city. That's my only issue with the place that I am. I don't like how small it is, but I've learned to like embrace the smallness of it, I guess. And I know that I'm not going to be there my whole life. And I know that the water polo is why I came there, and that's what I'm going to continue to finish off next year. So I feel like that was my biggest thing. And I feel like that's the biggest thing that everyone needs to do is make a list of the things that they...
They're non-negotiables, right? And order them.
Yeah. And figure out how one thing is going to affect your 4 years. And if it's super important, then okay, put it at the top of your list and make sure that your school has that. And mine was coach, mine was people, mine was, entrance into higher level water polo, because our conference, the way that water polo works is there's conferences, and then if you win the conference you go to NCAAs, and our conference was a great conference to be in for us to have that opportunity to get to where the competition was. And I feel like that really worked out in my favor as well. And I feel like that's what everyone should think about while they're
those things and those more important things to you, those non-negotiables of the coach, the team, the level of water polo, that if those things are there, right, then that small town thing, whilst it's not, you would have liked it bigger because of those other things, that can be accepted. Is that right? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
And with the small town thing, like we found ways, like Morgantown, which is where what the University of West Virginia is, they are a big party school, if you will. They're a big school as well, just in general. Great medical program, everything. Like we could go up there on weekends. Like it wasn't like we were far away from anything important. And I feel like that made it way more comfortable to me once I understood the like surroundings and where I could go to and who I could see. And that was a small part of it in the end. And the things that I got out of it were a coach who has done wonderful things for me. Like he has really built me into the athlete I am. He's helped me become the person I am, I guess, over the last 4 years. And I've had girls who have basically become my family and who I follow wherever they are, even if we aren't in great contact anymore.
Yeah. So any advice from a water polo perspective, like for water polo student athletes going through this process or thinking about it?
So, okay, little sneak peek into my journey to get here. When I was like first thinking about it was like, oh, I'm going to find out which schools are the best at water polo and I'm going to try and go to there and blah, 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 blah. And, this school looks pretty, so I'm going to choose that one. And that was my mentality at first. I was like, UCLA needs me. UCLA doesn't need me. UCLA needs Olympians. I was not that caliber at the time. I would like to be in the future, but not right now. But that was my mentality going into it. I was like, UCLA is so good. Hawaii's awesome. USC's good. Berkeley's good. Wagner, where there's a lot of Aussies, awesome.
Yeah, heaps at Wagner.
We play a couple of schools that still have Aussies on them. Like Michigan had Aussies on them, had Aussie Olympians on them. Where else has Aussies? There's Aussies everywhere. Like you go, we play what's the school? St. Francis, PA. They have Aussie girls on them. Like all of these teams have Aussie girls. And I'm like, oh, like this is so interesting because I know a few of them went through you guys. I know a few of them just got there on their own accord. It's awesome to see. And I'm like, oh, well, like if I had gone there, and then I think back and I'm like, oh no, like you will find the school that meets your requirements and what you want out of it. So like my original thought of like, I'm going to go to this big school and, you know, meet all these really cool girls who were so good at water polo, blah, blah, blah. Like I met all those really cool girls. I just met them in Salem, West Virginia.
Yeah, right. Awesome.
It's just like a totally different experience to what you think you're going to get, but it's the experience you need in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. So be open, I guess.
Oh yeah, it's like you don't need to pick the schools that you think you want. It's like the school will like somehow come to you in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
Even if, like a strange man being like, I don't have a team yet, but come
Yep.
with me.
Yep.
And I think that's the biggest thing is just be open to it being like a smaller school or a school in the Midwest or a school in the desert in Arizona or a school in California. Like it could be literally anywhere, and it'd probably be a better fit than what you've like pictured in your head, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's great advice. You know, I say to a lot of our student athletes is, you know, if you get interest from a coach and you look at that program online or you look at the university or look where it is and you think, I'm not going there, you know, for whatever reason, you know, our thing at Study and Play is still meet with them, because I guarantee you will learn, even if you don't end up going there, you will learn something about what you now realize you don't want. You know, like you met with coaches and you got a feel so that when you did meet Justin, you were like, okay, right.
Yeah.
This is my guy, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's about, you know, not looking online initially and making judgments based on that, you know?
Yeah, and I think that some people are going to look up Salem when they listen to this and they'll be like, why on earth would she go there? And I have two other Aussie girls that go there with me, and one of them wanted to leave the first 2 weeks she was there, but she played for 5 years. Like she was in America for 5 years, and she's now going to go be a GA somewhere else, like a graduate assistant, which is like an assistant coach. Anyone who doesn't understand what it is. Like you have no idea where you're going to end up. And my dad is a great example. He looked up, he's like, there's no one there. There's no one in that town. There's nothing for 20-minute drive. Like you've got nothing. And I was kind of very much like, oh well.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll see what happens to get there.
And you know what? You've got to give it a go. I mean, I think that, you know, that girl who wanted to leave after 2 weeks, you know, coaches are recruiting you, wanting you for the full 4 years. You know, that's what, you know, but there's no lock-in contract. There's no, you know, penalty really. Like if you, after a certain period of time and you want to come home and you've really given it a red hot crack and you think, not for me, then that's fine. You know, it's just you can't do it the other way around. You can't do 2 years here and then go, oh man, I should have gone there. I'm going to go there now. You know, there's a window really.
Yeah, and I mean, our coach was always really open. Like when we were having troubles or whatever, he was like, if you need to go, like you can either make it to the end of this year, or if you leave right now, like I'm not going to hold it against you, because if it's for something more important than just water polo, you got to do it. Like you got to be happy with yourself. And I feel like that's the big thing that I felt the whole way through, is like, if I didn't want to be here, I didn't have to be there.
Yeah.
I could always find my way back. I could always find my way somewhere else. But it ended up being where I needed to be. It ended up being where a lot of us needed to be, because it's how we grew up and how we think about what we actually wanted out of life, I guess.
So that leads me to life right now for you, Pip. Tell me what you've graduated with, what degree, tell me what you're doing right now, and tell me what your plans are.
Sorry.
That's okay.
People calling me. So I am working at the beach, which is not like Australian beaches, but it's the beach, so I can't complain.
Yeah.
I graduated with a bachelor's in sports and recreation management, so business-based bachelor's. I have an extra year of eligibility for water polo because of COVID, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to play my last eligible year, which not a lot of people get. It's going to be crazy. because my coach is super excited for the ones that are coming back. He's super excited for how big our team is going to be. So I'm excited to see what happens there. But I'm going to get my master's in a year because my school offers a 12-month master's program, which is pretty cool because that means I don't have to be doing schooling much longer than when I finish water polo season, which is awesome.
Great.
And I'm going to get my master's in sales, I think is what I've chosen, I believe.
Right.
Our school didn't have a huge amount of options for a master's program in terms of what I was leaning towards. Sales was the closest match for me, and I just hope to get through it.
Yeah, great.
I really am mostly just interested in playing my last year and seeing how that goes, and just along the way,
Yeah, and that's a bonus, that sales. And I feel like if there's a great place in the world to learn about sales, it's probably America.
Yep, you would be correct. Sometimes I worry about how much they have influence over the rest of the world.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, years ago we'd have to wait months to get something from America. Now it's
correct.
It's in Australia the next day.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about.
Isn't it? Oh, that all sounds exciting.
Yeah, I'm pumped. It'll be one more year, and then I don't know after that. We'll see.
Yeah, but just making the most of the extra eligibility, the extra ability to study, and then wherever, in a year's time, you might have a really set idea of what you want to do, whether that's come back home or, stay on there. Who knows?
Generally, I have an idea that what I career-wise would want to do, I could do in either country.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to be set up in a city, or I'd have to be set up somewhere probably permanently for a little while.
Yeah.
Eventually I could transfer whatever I start working and start doing back home if I wanted to go back home or stay over here. So I'm kind of open to both. My mum isn't open to both.
But do you know what? I'm a little bit proud of is that you don't have an American accent.
I've tried so hard. I do think I've slowed down how quickly I talk though.
Yes.
That's one thing that I think has changed drastically about me is I talk a lot slower than I used to.
Well, you have
my accent, because no one understood me at first.
Yeah.
I'd start talking and they'd be like, "You're gonna have to repeat that."
I know. It's it's the same language, guys.
Yeah. I had to slow down heaps, but all of my friends always say when I talk to my dad that my accent just skyrockets.
What, you're Australian or American?
Yeah, my Australian accent. It just goes through really, really Aussie. And that makes me really happy because I'm like, okay, so I haven't lost it completely yet.
Yeah, it's there.
I call petrol gas. The
restrooms.
Like that. Yes, restrooms instead of there's a lot of things where I'm like, oof, that's not me. That's not me. That's
But that's what you've got to say to them to know. I always laughed the first time I went to America with Chris, and he would just keep translating and saying what I was saying again to the man or the lady looking at me. I'd be like, why? You don't have to do that. They know what I'm saying. And then they'd look at me and say, I'm sorry, what was that, ma'am? And he said, see, they don't know what you're saying. So
they won't tell us. We've got to change for them.
Yes. And it generally is slowing down because we speak so fast. But Chris is, his world was in Oklahoma and they speak even slower.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to be real patient to get a story from an Oklahoman.
The other thing that I think I was super lucky with was because there were so many Aussies on my team, because there was 3 of us, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it was a lot at the time. A lot of our water polo slang became Aussie water polo slang, and our numbers were Aussie water polo numbers, and so that was one thing that we benefited from was, we're still playing kind of Australian water polo.
Yeah,
we have a lot of different countries playing, but we've got our little slide in. We've got a little bit of control over that, but that was the cool thing, and then the slowing down of my speaking.
Yeah, right. That's great. Well, Pip, I've really, really enjoyed catching up with you and hearing your story. you know, and that's, I guess that's what I said to you at the start of this, is that we want to hear your whole story, and that, you know, the college experience isn't always blue skies and rainbows every single day. You know, it's, life happens whether you're in America or whether you're even here in Australia. So it's good to hear all of it, you know, but that ultimately you've loved your 4 years, you're staying on for a fifth, you know. Um, yeah. I guess I remember year 11 and year 12, Pip, right? And I don't want this to sound condescending, but I'm real proud of you. I think you've done an amazing job, and you've taken the opportunity that you've worked really hard for and just taken it to the next level. So you should be so proud of yourself.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just happy I like met you guys when I did, and I got to do what I've done, and you've made me think about so many things that I didn't even really remember.
Yeah.
Or like things that I just didn't think about for the last 4 years. I'm like, oh yeah, that's strange. Oh yeah, we did that. Oh yeah, like this is how it's crazy to think like the process I've gone through and like what I've had to do to get where I am. And you guys helped me in the beginning, and then my school helped me through the whole thing, like my coaches and everything. It's just crazy to think like who helped you along the way and like where you came from, kind of thing. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is really cool, and that's that's the thing in life, is just having good people in your corner, you know, that are cheering for you and trying to help you make the best of your situation always. So yeah, I really look forward to seeing what the next year, your last season, looks like. We'll be following that closely. But yeah, thank you for taking the time, for staying up late. I know you're tired. I know you've got big days. So thank you so much, Pip. Really appreciate it.